What's up, everybody? Welcome into a live Monday edition of the draft edition of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Jacob. That's Bill. Brought to you by, as always, by our friends over at SeatGeek. Use our promo code Barking Browns, all one word, at checkout. Get $20 off your first purchase. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. We love you all so very, very much. We've seen tremendous growth since I discovered how to use the interwebs properly. And we love every single one of you. So if you're new here, welcome. We're weird. So get ready. If you are a regular here, you're a little weird too. Let's just put it out there. But we love you. Bill, how are we doing?
Jacob, we are doing good. We are here on Monday night. We're live. It's a few days before Christmas. We just had round one of the college football playoff. We're going to talk some prospects that stood out for us. But first, I have a bone to pick.
Oh, no.
I need the college football playoff committee to look at me right in my eyes. Why on earth are we going 10, 11 days without a college football game when you have some of the top teams in the country playing right now? Like, who thought of this schedule and said, hey, by the way, these great games you just watched on Saturday, yeah, you're going to go all the way till New Year's before you see another one. Just back-to-back weekends. You know, the first weekend on the 20th, the following weekend, the weekend after Christmas, you're probably bloated from carbs. You've maybe got some snow in your area. You then get to go watch, a Miami defensive line wreak havoc on an Ohio State offensive line or something to that effect. But let's get this sorted out for next year. But enough about me ranting and raving. Like Jacob said, folks, make sure if you're here, you hit the like button, you hit the subscribe, you turn on the notification bell. Make sure to go follow all the socials, including our TikTok, _Barking_Browns. Follow us over on X at BarkingBrowns24. I almost pulled a Nick and pointed in the wrong direction.
It's so weird.
I recovered. Jacob, let's talk college football playoff. Let's talk round one. Let's talk about some prospects that stood out for us. Who's your first guy on your docket?
So apparently I'm a boomer now. I just discovered
boomer.
I just discovered. And Jeff wanted to take a shot at Bill the Buckeye hater real quick just here.
Hey, you know what? Jeff and I have talked about it several times in our Discord, which, by the way, folks, we do have a Discord where we talk about all these kinds of things.
I need to put that in the description.
And I dropped some nuggets, and Jacob's going to drop that in the description so that way you guys can come hang out with us. But I talk about it all the time, and Jeff knows better. I am only a Buckeye hater when they give me a reason to hate. And the right side of that offensive line was a massive amount of hate. So take that for what it's worth.
So the first guy I want to talk about that stood out, I'm going to go to Friday's game. I'm going to go to the Oklahoma-Alabama game. And this is a guy, and Trevor Sikkema over at PFF and the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. It's kind of funny because he kind of gave him some love last week, and then he had a massive game in this playoff game. And that's Oklahoma wide receiver Deion Burks, who had over 100 yards, and including some big plays. Like, he's a guy that, like, he's explosive. He can create separation. He's just never been consistently productive in his college career. Like, it's just not like he'll put together games and he'll put together moments, and you're like, man, the talent and the ability is there with Deion Burks, but it just never. You know what I mean? You were always left wanting more with him. He ends up going over 100 yards, and it looked like, when Mateer in those big moments, especially when Oklahoma jumped out to the big lead in the beginning, Deion Burks had played a heavy role in that. And it's really interesting because he's not a first or second round guy. The production's not been there, but it's funny because, like, he could be like a day 3 guy that if you can find a way to, coach him up and get him to be more consistent, the talent's there. And he showcased it. He made multiple big plays in this and in this playoff game against Alabama. And, John Mateer, you could tell they've got into a little bit of a rhythm, hitting some early passes, and he leaned on him a little bit. And I had the number here for you, doing the pod on the pod. But I thought it was really hilarious because Trevor Sikkema did give him a shout out on their wide receiver rankings last week. Still has him in his top 12 wide receiver rankings. And then this week he decides to go for 7 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown, including a 37-yarder as the long. And it's always fun when you see players like that in the biggest stage where you go, okay, I see why some people are interested in you. Like it's got to figure out why we can't get it consistently from you. But that game and this week did showcase the high. Like, hey, if he hits his peak of his natural ability, he can be, he's smaller, but he can be a impactful player at the next level. But there's some consistency issues there.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%. When you look at Deion Burks, you see a lot of like what made Chris Givens such a great slot receiver. The big thing about Deion Burks is you just need to see it more consistently. There's games this season where you watch him and you're looking around, you're like, where is he been? I point back to the South Carolina game, 2 catches for 19 yards, or even the Missouri game, 2 catches for -2 yards. That's mind-blowing. And then he just comes out here and blows the doors off the Alabama secondary, which is a good secondary, mind you, with guys like Damani Jackson at corner and Keon Sabb at safety. So this isn't slump guys. This isn't a third-rate secondary. This is a talented team. So the fact that Deion Burks had his biggest game probably to date on the biggest stage is huge. And I want to stay with the Alabama and Oklahoma game for a second, and we have to talk about the signal caller sized elephant in the room in Ty Simpson. You and I talked about it at length. We've gone back and forth. The first quarter of that game was same old Ty that we've seen for the last month. He couldn't make the reads. He couldn't find the proper slot. He couldn't hit the pass that he needed to hit. And then something somewhere flipped. Like, I don't know if he shook off the cobwebs or, he drank the Michael Secret sauce on the sideline, but something flipped and we saw the Ty Simpson of old that we had been seeing for, the past 6 or 7 weeks before this slump. He showed up and he showed out for an Alabama team that needed it. 232 yards and 2 touchdowns, and delivered the ball very well. You look at the pass he made to Lodzier Brooks to start the run. He was looking for Isaiah Horton, got him involved. Jeremy Bernard got involved. He was distributing the ball in a way that you want to see from him. And for me, he's still quarterback 3. He is that next tier down. He's in my top 50. If someone took him in the back end of the first round, like a Jackson Dart scenario, you have to understand for every Oklahoma round 1 game you're going to get, you're going to end up with a stinker like you did in the SEC championship. It's just the highs are high and the lows are in the freaking basement with Ty Simpson. But I think we have to take into account as well this Alabama offensive line, man. Like, they got beat badly on several occasions. And it is affecting him more than people want to admit. Coming into the season, everybody talked about Caden Proctor was going to be this guy. He was going to be a first-round guy. This offensive line in the middle was going to be very good. You had the Parker Brailsford at center, and it just hasn't panned out. So I am curious to see if a change of scenery in terms of a slightly better offensive line, and Jeff talks about it, will the real Ty stand up? What's the real Ty Simpson we're going to get? Is it going to be this Oklahoma version, or is it going to be the Georgia SEC championship version?
Yeah, I mean, and you keep in mind, like, they haven't been able to run the ball all year. I did want to give Caden Proctor some props. I thought he did have a pretty decent game against a really good front in Oklahoma. I think he allowed just 1 pressure in the game. And so I'm still not completely sold on Caden Proctor, the left tackle for Alabama, but I did just want to show him a little bit of love there just because I did notice that they only had like 50 some yards rushing. If you look at the box score, it says they had 25 carries for 28 yards, but that's subtracting all of the lost sack yardage because college football puts sacks as a rushing attempt. It's the stupidest thing in the world, but whatever. That makes absolutely no sense to me. But they put a lot on Ty Simpson, and eventually he wasn't able to carry that burden. He just wasn't able to, and that's why this last month and a half, and then all of a sudden he goes out there and he looked rattled. He looked uncomfortable, unconfident. Like the confidence wasn't there in the first quarter, and then like you said, it really was like a flip of the switch. It was like, hey, you know what I mean? It's like when you're like working a night shift, and if you've ever worked night shift, you know what I'm talking about. You hit that 2 a.m. and you go into the bathroom, you get you that little splash of water on your face, and you're like, all right, second win, let's get this thing. And but I also, if you got the Michael special sauce reference, we can be friends. I would love to be your friend if you get that. But yeah, it's like he went over there, got him a swig of that, and he was like, all right, man. And it's like, he's not a prototypical quarterback. Like, he has to use his whole body for torque and stuff. And it's like, you know what I mean? He's not the smoothest guy, but he's a good athlete. He has some mobility. He has some accuracy. You know, he's good. It really is one of those Jackson Dart situations. I think you put it perfectly. It's like, let's see what he does this next game. Let's see where he ends up here. But yeah, I just keep flip-flopping. Jeff really summed it up the best, saying, will the real Ty Simpson please stand up, right? In our comments, saying that. It's like, because the guy that I saw for the first, half of the season, and the guy I saw on Friday night after the first quarter, that's an NFL caliber quarterback. I don't know if he'll ever be an elite guy, because he doesn't really have a lot of elite tools or anything like that, but he has pretty good tools. He's older too, like he's gonna be 24, but I think a lot of things, if he gets better line, if he gets better running game, as he gets more games under his belt, like I kind of still want him to go back to school, but like if he doesn't, and you take him back into round one, or you take him on day 2, I can see why you would do that.
Yeah. For me, he's Kirk Cousins. He's Kirk Cousins 2.0. This is a guy that doesn't have the elite traits, but the traits he does have are very good if you can draw them out of him, if you can give him the support like Kirk Cousins had in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson.
Right. He's not an elevator, but
he's not an elevator, but he will keep the ship afloat. That's what you're going to get from Ty. You
could win with him, I think. With the right pieces around him. You're not going to win because of him, but you'll win with him, and you're not going to lose. You got to make sure he gets to the spot where you're not going to lose because of him as well. Yes. And if you feel comfortable with that, then you can roll with it. It's the Ty Simpson thing. Just our good friend in here. Hey, we appreciate you. You're always in here with us, hanging out with you. We love you, so I appreciate the kind words. Me again, right? Is it me?
It's you again, because I had Ty Simpson, so you're up.
You had Ty Simpson. I just about. Did you think it was really funny that after we get this report that we're talking about one of the top overall prospects in this draft class being a historic outlier when it comes to arm length, and then he goes out and gets 4 tackles for loss and 3 sacks?
Don't overshade the big part. He blocked a field goal with those short arms.
Shit, I forgot about that. I even have that in my damn notes. Yeah, I wrote that down. As soon as it happened, I put it in my notes. And we're talking about Rueben Bain, the edge from Miami. He does. Like, people are like, we hear this rumor that it's like sub 31-inch arms, and that is like 0th percentile, first person. It's like it's bad. That's bad. And there were several instances you see in this game where he loses the leverage battle, and that has something to do with it. But the dude blocked a punt. He had 4 stop tackles. He had like 4 tackles for loss. He had 3 sacks. And like, I think he had 8 total pressures, maybe something like that. Like, it's funny because like you've had Rueben Bain as your top prospect. I've had him as my second prospect, and both of us were like, man, sub 31-inch arms. And I know some of his sacks I know at least one of his sack was more of an effort sack than anything because Marcel Reed was holding on to the ball for a while. But it just shows you like he can be so impactful. Both of those Miami edges are fantastic. But I just thought it was kind of hilarious that we were all like, man, I don't know what to do about this Rueben Bain. And he goes out there and he just 3 sacks. He was credited with 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, blocks a field goal. And you're just kind of like, okay, all right. I would still take him very high in the draft.
Yeah. And in the tweet we're referencing too, it comes to us from Ryan Roberts at Rise and Draft. Since 1999, the list of edge defenders with arms 31 inches or shorter who have either had a double-digit sack season or made a Pro Bowl, that list includes no one.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth. I moved him down a little bit because you do have to factor it in, right? But
and you see it. You can see it being an issue from some time to time.
Yeah, and he went from number 1 on my board to number 7. I would still take him in the top 10 because you see, even with the leverage battle, this is a guy that's still going to win. This is a guy that's going to win in spite of that. Imagine if he had 33-inch arms and he's playing like this. That is a freaky scenario. But we also can't leave out his running mate, Akeem Mesidor from Miami. Mm-hmm. You know, he credited 5 tackles, 1.5 sacks. He was out there on demon time against Marcel Reed in this offensive line. The big things with Mesidor, though, is you're going to have a prospect who's older. He's going to be 25 on draft day, and he's got a medical history that's a very concerning. So combine medicals are going to be important for him. But if you're wanting to get – if someone told me they went Rueben Bain in round 1 and then Akeem Mesidor somewhere around 4, round 5, dude, you'll get no arguments from me whatsoever.
Yeah, if there is a team that does that, they have significantly improved their pass rush.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mesidor deserves his credit because he was, both of those dudes were just, I feel somewhat bad.
Yeah,
for Marcel Reed because he was in hell all night.
He was fighting for his life in every part. When you go 15 carries, 15 carries for 27 yards, like that's just get me away from every bit of this hell that I am fighting for right now. That is exactly what that is.
And so it's me on a Saturday night after a couple of Taco Bell runs. Like it's just like, whew, we're gonna have to push back the recording of this show because I had some talking about. I want to get into the big one, right? Let's do the big one now. Let's talk about Dante Moore from Oregon, the quarterback from Oregon. I know he's playing James Madison. I understand that. I understand to take that with a grain of salt when I say this, but I sent you a text message in the middle of that game and I said there is no way he's going back to school. Mm-hmm. Now he's got to do it against Texas Tech. He's going up against some dudes. There are some dudes on that Texas Tech defense, and let's see what he does. But Dante Moore was phenomenal. I understand he had a couple of the picks, but dude, those deep balls, pause. Were some of the best that I have ever. I mean, was it at some point they had? I don't know. I can't remember what it was, but it was like they had like 21 points and like 9 plays. Like it was some stupid stat where they were just shredding JMU, and he's so calm, cool. He's such a natural thrower of the football, right? We had Corey Kennan on a week or two ago, and he was talking about that. Like, you don't have to squint hard to see it with Dante Moore. You can just see the size, the arm, the stroke, like it's all there. And he was just taking. I saw someone today say he had a noodle arm. I saw that on X. I'm like, did you what? Noodle arm.
Do you know what a noodle arm looks like? Because he doesn't. Now, don't get me wrong. He doesn't have a howitzer, right? This isn't Josh Allen. This isn't Lenora Sellers, but he's got it. I would say a B+ arm. I would say if you're stacking him and Mendoza, it's the same caliber of an arm.
Yeah. And it was just like he was just dimes, just dropping balls in buckets, just boom, 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 attacking every level of the field, but really going deep and just really stretching the field. And it was just like I'm watching that going, like as a Browns fan, I'm sitting there staring and I'm watching Dante Moore and I'm like, I get it. He's only got like 20. He'll only have like 20 career starts, and 5 of them were at UCLA when he was really, really bad. But if he looks like this, he is 20 years old, folks. He is 20 years old, and he's making it look easy. It just looks so easy. It's come so natural to him. He's just that's the kind of quarterback I want to hitch my wagon to, and we'll have the him versus Mendoza conversation later, but Mendoza didn't play this weekend, right? Yeah. But when you watch Dante Moore, it's like I'm willing to hitch my wagon. If I'm a head coach or a GM, I'm willing to hitch my wagon to this kid. He's going to turn 21 in like May. Yeah. Like you're going to have him at 20. He's doing, and it's like, yeah, I'm concerned about the starts. I always am. And I know it, and I understand it. I know it's an outlier with just not having. Yeah, Brian talking about Rivers out here tossing it around. Dude, right. The Phillip Rivers thing that's going on right now is just, I love every second of it. I absolutely love every second of it. But I'll get out of your way. I'll let you talk about Dante Moore, but he was just fantastic. I know there was a couple of interceptions in there, a couple of mistakes that were made, but he just looks like he's playing backyard football, and I don't know how you can't love that.
And listen, you hit the nail on the head. This is a guy who orchestrated, here's the numbers, 16 plays, 13 minutes, 27 points. That's otherworldly stuff. And yes, it's against JMU. They were up 27-3 on JMU before JMU knew what the hell hit them with Dante Moore. So that's why I take it with a grain of salt. But like we've always talked about, man, on this channel, when you play these teams that you significantly outclass in terms of talent, you have to look in control. And Dante Moore looked in control. Now, here's where I have pause. And this is my biggest concern with Dante Moore, is the lack of starts. And it's not because I want some arbitrary number of he's got to have 30 starts. He's got to have, that's what I like my quarterbacks to have. The more starts a quarterback gets, the more they learn how to deal with being under pressure and their subsequent decision-making from that pressure. Because that's the biggest thing for me, is when I watch Dante Moore, the decision-making under pressure is just so dangerous. There are tendencies that continue to pop up that are a problem. You saw it in the Indiana game. You saw it in the Penn State game. You saw it in the Iowa game, 3 of his biggest games this season. You saw when he gets pressured up the middle, especially when that pressure pushes him forward. And what happens with that is he is not a mobile guy. This is not a guy who can swing out of the pocket, take off and run. He has that ability, but that's not his bag.
He doesn't go to it very often. I wish he would do it a little bit more. It's very CJ Stroud at Ohio State-esque.
Yes, which is my comp for him, is CJ Stroud. Mm-hmm. But the big thing is when he's pressured from the front, it's almost to a point where it's like, okay, the clock has gone off. I've got to go, but there's nowhere for him to go. And what happens is he gets sloppy with the ball and it gets dangerous. And, when you have those two things, when you're going to an NFL franchise, your NFL team is more than likely, if like Cleveland, for example, or even Las Vegas, for example, they're going to have issues with the offensive line up front. So you as a quarterback now have to figure out how to deal with that. So that's where those number of starts can help with that. Hey, I started 5 games this year, and this is what it helped me with. Hey, this stretch of 3 games here, this is what helped me with. I still have him as quarterback too. Yeah. I still have him as a top 10 prospect. Here is what I will say. I am not trading up for him. I will not. If he falls to Cleveland at number 3 and you want to take him because you believe in him, I understand it. for me, this next game against Texas Tech, this is going to solidify everything I need to know about Dante Moore in terms of whether I think he is a guy that can overcome that. Because that's the biggest thing. He's got to learn to overcome that in order for me to say, hey, he overcomes it. I understand this is a guy. This isn't like Fernando Mendoza, which we won't talk too much about. But when you look at Fernando Mendoza and his time at Cal and his time at Indiana, when he's pressured, he overcomes it because he has the experience to fall back on. Hey, this happened 12 games ago. I remember this is what I did. Dante Moore just doesn't have that sample size, and that's where I stand with him. I think if we see him go into Tech, we go to Texas Tech, and against those edge rushers, David Bailey and Romello Height and Jacob Rodriguez at linebacker, against that defense that's just probably the best defense he's faced all season long.
Yeah, I'd say so.
And he looks the way he did against JMU, then that solidifies it that he's got something to fall back on. But right now, you told me he's there at pick 3 and you believe in him, take him. But if you don't believe in him, this isn't a guy that you have to go out and say, yeah, take him because he's a franchise guy. It's the same conversation we had with Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, right? With CJ Stroud, there were all these questions about, hey, how does he handle pressure? Hey, how does he deal with his mobility? Hey, how does he deal with ball placement? Eventually, Stroud figured it out in Houston, but it took a couple of years. It took a couple of years for him to consistently figure it out. And that's where I'm at with Dante Moore is if I'm taking him that high or I'm trading up to go get him, at some point I need you to figure it out. Because if you're trying to figure this thing out on the fly, we've got a whole laundry list of about 41, 42 quarterbacks with names on a jersey that couldn't figure it out. So I got to have you figure it out before I bring you here.
And I get that, dude. I get it. I really do. It's just a conversation you and I have had via text where I'm like, I'm on the different side of the spectrum when it comes to this situation, but it's not because I don't think your argument has validity because sorry, MC and Jeff in the comments.
Yeah. It's like the two puppets, the two old men puppets that are sitting up in the balcony, just what is it, Ebert and Roper, I think is what they were called or something like that. You know the puppets I'm talking about? They're just sitting just arguing with themselves, and everybody down is just watching the show like it's no big deal.
And they're always like,
yeah. Like some of them, one of them tells a joke to the other one that no one else understands. Jeff, you know I'm right. You know I'm right. That's the only reason I bring it up.
These guys try to have a serious football conversation. These guys are over here making me pee my pants. Great television. Great. I'm going to plant my flag right now. I'd trade up for Dante Moore. I think he's that guy. And I'm not just saying for the Browns. I'm saying for anybody. Like, I would do it. I would go and get him. I think the Browns are going to probably lose these next 2 games, so they're going to be picking in the top 2 anyway. Don't stop. Listen, I've already made one threat to you on YouTube today. Don't make me make a second.
That's fine, because you know good and well the football gods hate us in Cleveland. And I talked about this at length with someone else over on X as well. It's not that I don't think either. It's not that I think the teams are going to want to, collude and screw the Browns. It's the Raiders and the Giants who are both terrible. Sorry, Raiders fans. Sorry, Giants fans. And it's not that neither of them want to win. It's that neither of them are going to have the ability to win. Because if they tie and then lose out, guess where the Browns are picking, folks?
3rd.
Number 3.
And I said that, and I'm like, if it happens, Bill, I'm coming for you. Like, because you put it in the ethos. Because you put it out there. You put it in the ethos, and you made me have to get upset, and you made this happen. So I'm gonna blame you if it happens. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to say. Let me see if I've got any more notes. Continues to be a great, if they tie, Bill Nee's band.
Tell me I'm right. Tell me in
You're
the history
not.
of being Browns fans, when has it ever gone right?
No, that's the problem, man. That's why I'm so upset about you saying it. Is I know it is it's a non-0% chance.
Yeah. It
It's a
is on a
non-zero.
table.
It's absolutely on the damn table. It's probably the fucking centerpiece, if we're being honest, at Christmas dinner.
Because
It's
here's the thing.
probably
Here's the thing. If I really wanted to put on the tinfoil hat and really frame this
yeah.
up for the fans at home, are we 100% sure the New York Giants aren't ready to move off of Jackson Dart, especially if Joe Shane is no longer the GM and you've got Jackson Dart who's had multiple issues to the tent for concussions? So why wouldn't you just say, hey, you know what? Let's just not play as hard as we could this week and tie with the Raiders and guarantee ourselves either the number 1 or the number 2 pick,
Yeah.
and then we have our choice.
And if you're bored, that exact thing that he just said is the scenario I played out on Mock Draft Monday episode here on our YouTube channel, where I played out, what if they tie and the Browns get stuck at 3rd overall and both quarterbacks are gone? And so rather the Browns wanted to take a quarterback or not, depending on how you feel about Shadur, you didn't have that chance because the two teams in front of you were not willing to move off of it because they were taking quarterbacks. And so I was like, okay, so what does it look like? And, No, I get this. He said some quarterbacks in the NFL 20 plus years, people think trading up for one you like is a bad idea. No, I think the biggest point that from Bill's side of the view is wasting potential additional picks when you have a reservation about a guy, because Bill has a fundamental reservation that I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
I just really like him. I just really like Dante Moore. And when you want to pound the table for someone, you pound the table for someone like that. And so that's just where I'm at.
And that's exactly it. Is if you like him, I understand going to get him. But for me, I have that reservation about him. And the big thing is, people also have to understand trading up, even if it's going from 3 to 2. And we talked about this, Jacob. You're going to have to give up both of your first round picks, and you're possibly going to have to give up either the early 2nd or early 3rd to make it work, just from a pure draft value standpoint. So for me, now you're telling me that I have to give up 3 top 100 picks to go get a guy. I sure as hell had better love him, because if I don't, that's getting me fired in 3 years.
Right. Right. And for me, I like him enough that I'd be willing to do it. And Bill doesn't, and that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. But one more player I got to shout out, because I know we're getting past my bedtime.
That's fair.
But no, one more for someone. This nose tackle class continues to fascinate me. Amari Washington, the defensive tackle. I said his name right? Didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Amari Washington, the defensive tackle from Oregon. If you are a team that's like, man, we struggle stopping the run up the middle, teams can just run the ball up the middle on us. You weren't running up the middle against Oregon this weekend. Now, Amari Washington was just like, he was immovable object, and he was also getting some good penetration too. Pause. But I'm just saying, man, like, I continue to look at these defensive tackles, especially the nose tackles, and I'm like,
Let me wrap up with some numbers for you on Amari Washington. For folks that don't know, he made his way onto Bruce Feldman's Freaks List. And what the Freaks List is a list of just truly athletic freaks of nature. So 6'3", 338 pounds, has clocked almost 21 miles an hour, has a vertical jump of 36 inches, has squatted 755 pounds, bench pressed 475 pounds, power cleaned 385 pounds. That is an Avengers level threat if I have ever seen one.
He's a monster, man. Like, and he just like, do you realize how impactful you have to be as a like nose tackle to catch people's attention on the TV copy when they're not specifically watching for you? Because I'm like, he kept popping for me, and it's like, on the TV copy, when you're not paying attention a lot of times to what a nose tackle's doing, it was like that was the level of play he had in this game, and I'm like, okay, so that's my final guy. You got anybody else?
I think you've hit all of the guys I was gonna touch with. The big one, obviously, I won't talk too much time about him, but Mark Fletcher Jr. from Miami, was gonna touch about him, but he's gonna go back to school. But be on the lookout for him in 2027's class, because that dude wanted to hit people, hurt people, and run over people. And I loved every bit of it against that Texas A&M defense.
Yeah, he was pretty mean. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, please, we love you so much. Appreciate you for hanging out with us here on a Monday night. If you were here with us live, please hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. The boys will be back to talk Browns on Wednesday afternoon. So stick around. We got shorts for you every day. We got content every day. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We love you. We'll see you guys again next time. I'm Ron Burgundy.